If you were on vacation in the United States during the initial period of the pandemic, when our borders were closed and would have remained there more than 6 months, you should check your US visa status before booking a ticket to return to the United States. Welcome to Visa Things, where we discuss US visa challenges. I'm your host, Denzel James. Today, our topic discusses a situation where Trinidadians were stranded in the United States at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. This occurred because our borders were closed. Trinidadians on vacation in the United States had to request a travel exemption from our Ministry of National Security in order to return home during a specific period after the borders were closed. However, since 2022, some people within this group of visitors to the United States who were trapped during the initial period of the pandemic are now denied travel to the US, although their passport has a visa stamp with validity well beyond their intended date of travel. Some would have already purchased tickets, but when they arrived at the airport, they were told that there is an issue with their United States visa and they need to check with the local US embassy. In other words, they wouldn't be able to board their flight. How can this be? In some instances, the US Immigration Department may have determined that there would have been an abuse of circumstance. In other words, taking unfair advantage of a particular circumstance or exploiting certain conditions for one's own benefit. When the borders were closed, persons were unable to freely travel. However, sometime after the initial closure, Trinidad and Tobago residents were required to apply for an exemption to return home in a phased system beginning with vaccinated people from July 17, 2021, then everyone from June 1, 2022. Seemingly, it's perceived by US immigration that from July 17, 2021, Trinidad and Tobago residents had the opportunity to return home, and persons who didn't seize the opportunity to return home within a reasonable time after that would be considered as overstaying their time in the United States. The consequence for which is having their US visa prudentially revoked. This would mean that the Department of State has decided to invalidate the visa based on concerns about the visa holder's eligibility. Based on our awareness at Jamar Consultants, we have noticed after this revocation, persons who would have returned within reasonable time after July 17, 2021 have mostly been reissued a visa. However, many persons who returned in 2022 were denied when they reapplied. These revocations take place without the visa holder having any knowledge of it and may proceed to purchase a ticket to travel to the US only to be turned back at the airport, and there is nothing which can be done about it. Unfortunately, unless you may have suspicion regarding revocation, you will only find out at your time of planned departure. If you believe you may fall into this category, you can contact the United States Embassy to check on your visa status. What we have also noticed at Jamar is that persons whose visa would have been revoked or would have been denied re-entry to the United States were barred from applying for a visa for 10 years. This is solely based on our awareness at Jamar and should not be interpreted as a general rule. I hope today's episode was informative, and until next time, I'm Denzel James. You have been watching Visa Things. Be good. Be safe.